It is your conclusion that if somebody knows how to read a pattern and is already familiar with PDF patterns in particular, that it would be very easy for them to pick up a projector.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, the hardest part of all this was getting in here and like getting it calibrated. That was the hardest part. Once it's calibrated, you put in the 28.5 or whatever your number is to get it scaled right. You double check it, make sure it's right, and then you just follow the lines. Like, it's pretty simple. You just need to know, like, if there's like, you mentioned something about cutting to the line or not cutting to the line. I'm guessing that's when you fold over for like the M or something. Yeah, she's looking at me like I'm crazy now, so
I don't know what I said that he's referring to. Hey friends, welcome back to Daily Sews and Stuff. I have my husband with me again here today. We are not setting up the projector, we're actually going to use it. And he actually did a little bit of sewing in high school, but he hasn't really cut from a pattern much, and he certainly hasn't cut from a projector before. In addition to that, he's left-handed. So some people have been asking what's it like to do the projector when you're left-handed. Some people have been asking, you know, how hard is it for somebody brand new to sewing to pick up the projector? Today we're going to find out. I'm going to have him cut two different things. He's going to cut a Sailor Gator pattern from Patterns for Pirates. It's a free pattern. It's a knit pattern. And so he is going to cut that. It's also very small, so it won't take us too long for him to cut that. And then he's also going to cut a woven pattern, which will be a mask pattern. I can't remember where I got it from, but I will link it in the description. And that way you can see him cut both woven and knit, and I can kind of coach him through it and say some things that I might not think to say whenever I'm just talking to a camera. So we're going to start with the knit one. Knit fabric is stretchy, and so if you're not cutting well, it's going to stretch instead of cut.
Okay.
The first thing we're going to notice is right here, it's a cut on the fold, and it says in big bold letters, fold. So in order to maximize the amount of fabric that I have, we're only going to fold it enough to fit our pattern. We're not going to fold the fabric straight in half. Is that making sense to you?
Not even a little bit.
Okay. So I'm going to lay my fabric out over the top of the pattern. Right side up. Because this is a very busy pattern. And I don't want it to interfere with the lines being projected onto it. So now I'm going to fold it over just wide enough to cover the pattern and not completely in half. So I'll scooch it over here. To where the fold is actually on the fold marking. And we're going to cut at the short length cut here line.
Okay.
So I'm not worried about this down here.
Okay.
And we're also going to cut at this funny U shape for the ear piece.
Okay.
And so when we cut this out, this fabric between this line and here is going to be trash, because that's not really wide enough to use for anything. So if I want to maximize how much fabric I have, I want to fold this a few more inches this way so that there'll be a big chunk left on the other side that's still usable fabric.
Okay.
So you do that. You fold it to where it should be.
Okay. So it's got this weird curl thingy in it.
Yeah, and so the curl, you want to keep that kind of away. I mean, there's going to be some waste.
Okay. So
I do it like that, and then I would shift the whole piece until the folded edge lined up with the fold line.
Got it. So I still have some,
but it's less than it was.
Okay.
Nope. This needs to be directly on there.
Got it. Like that.
That's not, well, even that's a little bit, you really want it to be at the edge. Okay. Now, I have sheet metal underneath my mat. Oh, and I just ran my head into the thing. Sorry.
Bumping your projector is bad.
Bumping your projector is frustrating, yes. Alright, I have sheet metal attached to my cutting table, so we can put magnets down and it will hold the fabric. And that there you can see how much you're going to actually have, that much extra space. And we don't want that.
Okay.
This is not a particularly precise pattern, but some patterns are. Alright, so give yourself however many you think you need.
Some is good, more must be better.
Well, so you see right here where there's this big old wrinkle?
Yep.
That's not going to work out so well.
Okay.
So pick up the magnets, smooth it out.
Okay.
There's 2 layers of fabric. You really
Right.
need to smooth out
Oh,
all the fabric right there.
it's smooth.
There you go. Okay, now put your magnets back on.
Okay.
Okay. Now, especially when cutting knit, I find it helpful to use a ruler, not necessarily to cut the line, although we can do that too, but sometimes it's nice just to help hold down the other side of the fabric and keep everything smooth.
Okay.
But if you would like to, especially because this is a straight line, you can actually put it on the straight line and use it as a guide.
Okay.
Okay. So this is rotary cutter.
Okay.
It's very, very sharp.
Okay.
Whenever you pop the wheel out, it's sharp all the way around like a circular saw blade.
Okay.
This particular one, the safety on it is that switch makes it to where now when you push down, the blade comes out.
Oh, that's cool.
And whenever it's here on safety, when you push down, it doesn't come out as much. Okay. So, this is for shallow cuts. This is for deep cuts. I would probably use a deep cut for this 2 layers of fabric.
Okay. So, that way?
So turn it off to safety, yep.
Okay.
And you're going to want the blade next to your ruler.
Blade next to my ruler. Okay.
And you're going to try to cut right on that line.
Okay. How hard do I push?
As hard as you need to get through both layers of fabric.
Okay, I didn't stay perfectly on the ruler.
Huh?
So do I do the second cut?
Do you need a second cut?
I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
You're going to want to push down pretty hard with this hand, especially now that you've kind of cut it, because you're going to want to make sure nothing shifts around.
Can I like keep going or no?
Yeah, go past this line, but not far.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. That's all going to be trash.
Okay. Oh yeah, I did it.
Okay.
Cool.
So I would shift the ruler around to this line now,
Okay.
because that's the short length line that we're going to cut on.
Okay.
And
And
do
it's
this.
on the little dotted line from the
Mhm.
projector?
Yes.
Okay.
The dotted line from the projector is where you want your blade to go.
So like the middle of the dotted line.
It's not that precise, but sure, yes.
Okay.
Okay? Don't
Okay.
don't
Oh,
move
I
it
should
too much,
probably
because
shouldn't move it.
yeah,
Okay.
you need to move your excess, not the piece you're cutting.
Okay. Gotcha.
Make sure your corner dot over there where there's 2 cutting corners meeting. Yep.
Got it. Okay, so
Okay.
do that.
Yep.
Now what?
And now you need to do the top part of the pattern. And you can see right there is where you weren't exactly on the line. I'm not too worried about it. This is a knit pattern. They stretch. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
What you're going to do over here, you're going to go here, loop the ear, and come out here. So you're going to have to do a fairly tight curve there.
Okay.
What I would probably do is cut this straight line and cut this straight line, and then I would cut the curve.
Okay. So this is going to be hard for me to do because
You're a lefty. If you want to walk around to this side and do it from this side, that's perfectly acceptable. I do that all the time.
Hold on. Did I not
Or-
cut? I don't think I cut far enough this way.
Yes, you
though.
did, because you're cutting on that line.
Oh, okay, I see.
Or you can move your magnets a little bit and put your ruler on this side. That might be helpful too.
Do you have like a smaller ruler?
Yes, I do. Okay, theoretically I have a small ruler, but it's bigger.
I might have stole it.
Oh.
Some of these things are really nice for woodworking too, by the way. Don't tell my wife. I also have her hot glue gun. I'm just gonna freehand this
Okay.
because
Go for it. You want to cut this line, and then the loop connects them.
so should I do like the loop first?
I would do the loop last, but if you want to do it first, that's...
Okay. Well, you're the expert.
Wait, stop, and then cut that line.
Okay.
Not all the way across. You just need from here to here.
Oh, well, I'm starting here.
Okay.
So it's kind of pulling as I go. That's bad.
It's because it's knit. That's what knit does. And that's why I usually use the ruler on the other side to help hold things down. It might...
Okay. This is hard to do with your thingy in the way. And I feel like if I roll too fast, I'm going to cut this off. And now I'm blocking my light.
Uh-huh. And really and truly, you might have a better angle if you walk around to this side. You just have to pay attention to the projector.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, this is where my height is an advantage. I hadn't thought about that.
Yes, you fit in small places. We know this.
Okay, so you're right, you don't want to put your hands there, but if you want to move some of the magnets a little closer and give yourself some more.
Got it. So, wouldn't it be like, I mean, it would probably be more work, but like for hard stuff like this, wouldn't it be easy to trace the line
And cut it with
the
scissors?
pencils and cut it with the scissors?
Theoretically, yes, but if you'll
That's
allow
not what
me.
your channel's about. So, like, undoing everything you're trying to teach these nice people.
Not at all. It would be completely acceptable to mark it and cut it. The
All right.
problem is it's really, really hard to mark knit fabric because as you drag something along it trying to mark it, it stretches the fabric.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get all that clean. Hold on.
Would you like me to try?
You wanted me to do this for these people.
All right.
There we go. All done.
So this is a really tight curve, and that was a little bit mean to give you as your first assignment. And the rest of it is, I don't have a smaller diameter rotary cutter. A smaller diameter rotary cutter would get that tighter curve better. I just don't have one. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. So you said you didn't get it clean, but that's actually pretty good.
That is not very clean.
Well, but here's the thing. So when you cut something in woodworking, that's going to be the edge of it forever. Whenever
Okay.
I cut something in sewing, I'm going to put a seam around the edge.
Cool.
So it'll get cleaned up.
Okay.
Alright, so you cut the main piece, and now you need to cut the two little rectangles that go with it. These two rectangles right there.
Can we move those rectangles where I can actually get to them?
That would be super helpful if we could. We can't, but what we can do is rotate the pattern so that they will be in a better spot. I right click and
Oh, that's good.
rotate clockwise and
Or actually rotate one more time.
okay. You're gonna regret this.
Why?
Oh, I thought it was because it kept it there. Because it's super long. But it kept it where it was, so it wasn't. The white space goes on really far.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
it's
good.
kept it centered here. Alright, so now your two spots are here.
Okay, what do I do?
Alright, so
I could probably just use some scrap for that, right?
exactly.
Okay.
So these two things right here are marks, and what I would do would be just like barely cut in a 1/4 inch or less to mark it for myself.
Okay.
If you don't want to do that with the rotary cutter, or if you don't want to do that at all, we can just use pins or scissors to mark that.
Why wouldn't you use like an X-Acto knife or something there?
Because the rotary cutter works better, because anytime you're going to pull or drag, the knit fabric is going to
That makes sense.
pull or drag with you.
So does the way I lay this down with the little heads, this is Star Wars stuff. Does that matter?
Yes. You want the stretch going across this arrow. See where it says stretch with the arrows? So this is actually a 4-way stretch, so theoretically it could go either way, but what it means is this way. This is the widest stretch, the greatest stretch across the widest part of the body.
That makes
But
sense.
you need to notice that right here it says,
Fold?
yep. So you don't, if you fold it this way,
Yeah, I'll have all the busy stuff in the way.
yes, so you want to do it the other way. And so when you fold, you need to think about the grain line and the grain line,
Okay.
and you want to keep it straight, which the edge of this are not straight, so you kind of have to look at how it lies on the fold to see if it's not too bad. If you look on the front side especially, you can see these vertical lines very faintly.
Oh, yeah.
That's the grain line, and you want to keep that line, like, you want the vertical lines going on this piece to be parallel to the ones going on this piece.
Okay.
Alright.
So where do my little magnets go?
Right here.
Okay.
I can't read if that says cut 1 or cut 2. Can you? Right there.
That says blurry.
Yeah. So, what we can do is we can use the mouse and increase the magnification until we can read it. Whoa, you went way big.
That worked. That didn't really work. That was sarcasm.
Grab this with the little hand guy and scoot it where we can read. There, it's over here. There you go. What does it say? It'll be easier to read here than on the other. It says space binding cut 1 on the fold, and then scroll it one more time.
How do you use a mouse? Sorry, all I use is touch screens anymore. I don't know how to do this.
There you go. And grab it over. Okay. And that says cut 2. Alright. So you're going to cut 1 of these and 2 of these. But now we need to put the percentage back to where it was. So click on that. You're going to have to type it. Or I'll type it for you because I'm right here.
Okay.
What is it, 28.5?
Yes.
He's looking at the sticker on the projector that tells us.
Okay.
Alright, so now you need to line up. You can manipulate the pattern, you can manipulate the fabric.
That's cool.
Yes.
So I can go right there and not waste a lot of space.
Exactly. And so I would scoot this over as far as you can.
That's as far as it goes.
Okay, then I would scoot this over as far as we can, so that you can do that, and then
don't right click.
Once you cut this out, this is already folded. So you need to have 2 of these. You can just cut this once, and you will have 2.
Oh, that's cool.
But you might want to move it where you're... it's not that much fabric. You can waste all you want to with that.
Yay, wastefulness.
So you're using a lot of magnets, and you're going to probably find out that when you use, especially this many magnets so close to the line, they'll start to stick to the metal of the rotary cutter.
It keeps jumping to each other. Okay.
So what I would do, especially because this is a small piece that you're cutting,
that makes sense,
is really utilize the ruler.
Okay.
It's small, it's straight lines, you're really going to want to do that. And you push down pretty hard with this hand.
I'm pushing.
Okay.
Hard. So being a lefty, I have learned that you just have to be able to do stuff with your right hands. So lefties can do stuff right-handed better than right-handed people can do stuff left-handed.
It was at this exact moment that the GoPro I was using to capture the sound and the main video decided to quit. So we missed the audio of my response and pretty much the rest of our conversation right here. No, I'll try to remember the important parts to relay to you now. We do have the video from the top as he finishes cutting out this particular section. I think what we missed here was me saying that as a right-handed person, I often end up using my left hand or walking around and really utilizing all of the ways that I have to cut something in a safe manner, but also to make sure that I'm getting my most accurate cuts. So you see him slicing the other side with the ruler, and then he's going to freehand the very short top. He was checking to make sure that he had not missed any parts there. And we have already talked about the fact that you need to move the excess, not the piece that you're cutting. And so we also talk about, you know, sometimes your rotary blade is nicked and it makes it more difficult to get a good, clean cut. He's now moving his excessive amount of magnets to the other rectangle that he wants to cut. And while I would probably do that with just the ruler, because it's such a small piece, or maybe add 1 or 2 magnets, he felt the need to use all the magnets. I also would often put the magnets on the outside of the piece if it were such a small, and use the ruler on the inside of the piece for such a small endeavor. right now we've realized that the GoPro stopped working. So he is checking out what happened, and we've decided to just go ahead and finish this cut, and then we will fix it for the rest. He's been very precise to cut only the spot that he needs. I would actually slice that all the way across because I'm not trying to save any of that. And it would make it easier to get the whole cut. It's interesting the things that he brings from woodworking that apply and the things that he brings from woodworking that maybe don't apply in quite the same way. This is a pretty tricky cut because it's only a tiny bit that he's cutting off, and so you want to make sure you're really pushing down on the ruler so that you are cutting and not pushing. And here's where I showed him how to move the excess out of the way and make it easier to get those cuts. That's something that you can't do it with wood, he said. So you can see the wiggle in the ruler from the rolled side of the fabric, and he could have moved it off of that, or he could have smoothed out that fabric some, or you just put a lot of pressure right where you're cutting, especially because it's such a short line that he needs to cut right there. He very intrinsically knows to keep his hands out of the way, since I think that comes mostly from woodworking, but also, you know, self-preservation. So we remove the magnets and we pull off the piece that we need. And now we've cut everything we need for this gator that I'm going to make for our son. And all of that is trash, and you can see I'm going to go up and turn this video off, and we'll start fresh in a minute with all of our cameras going.
Okay, so now we're going to do a woven pattern, and this is a more traditional mask pattern. It is from a very small pattern designer, so it's not actually designed to be projected. It's designed to be printed, but it's only going to print on one page, so it works out really well to project. I did have to change my zoom percentage slightly, and I can't turn off the layer of the grid, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal because the cut line is much more bold than the grid is. And it's not marked on the pattern, but what we're going to do is cut 2 of the main fabric and cut 2 of the lining fabric. So you have a choice.
Okay.
You can do it like this and cut a single layer twice, or you can fold it in half and cut once on double layer and have 2.
I'd do that.
Okay? So the only real downside with cutting double is that you need to make sure that your grain line is matched up so that you're not skewing one of them.
Okay.
And this is not a cut on the fold, so what I would do is cut close to your cut edges rather than closer.
Cut close to the edge.
So line it up, get it how you want it.
Okay.
You have the advantage with this one that this is a straight line right here. So if you line up those edges, that should line your grain line up pretty well.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. And this isn't stretchy. Well,
this
it's
is
not as stretchy.
This is right. This is woven, so it's not designed to stretch. It has a little bit of bias stretch because that's the nature of weaving. But
okay, got it. Moving in.
I would still use the ruler if I were you. But
right, so just anytime you can use a straight edge.
Yeah, using the straight edge is helpful, and it also, even with the woven, it helps to hold down the fabric as you cut. It's not going to stretch and pull as much, but it's still helpful. Make sure you're not on safety.
Nope, I forgot to turn the safety on.
Okay.
Safety third.
Shout out to Mike Rowe. You know what I just realized? Also not marked on this pattern And this is not your fault at all, because it's not marked on the pattern. You actually are supposed to do a fold.
Huh?
You are. You're supposed to do a fold right here. This is supposed to be cut on a fold. And
Whoopsie.
no, this is not your fault. This was my fault, and it's because the pattern is unmarked. That makes it.
Putting the safety on this time. But never trust the safety.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, but I've already cut through right there, so.
It won't matter.
Are you sure?
I'm absolutely positive.
Okay.
Because you are supposed to cut just the top layer right there. And so that's what we're going to do. This is actually a really nice one for this. I didn't plan for this to be so perfect for this, but it really is. Alright, so you probably don't want those that close to that edge. We're going to mark that solid line, and we'll cut that with scissors in a minute. And you're going to go ahead and cut around here. You don't, this top layer, you're only cutting to here.
Oh, okay.
The bottom layer, you're cutting all the way around.
I'm confused.
I am
Okay.
too, but I watched a video about it, and I'm fairly certain I'm right.
Can I start cutting stuff?
Yes, cut around the full outline. You see how much that fabric is moving as you're cutting though?
Yep.
So because your
Yeah, I
fabric
didn't.
moved while you cut, you didn't cut on the line.
Oh, and I had my safety on.
Okay,
Oopsie.
that's, yeah. So, even though it's a curve and you can't use this as a straight edge, I would use it
To
to
hold it
hold
in
it
place.
down.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. And then,
Go away. Wait.
Yes.
Hold on.
yep.
Okay.
And then mark that line just with this pen. I'd probably put like one more dash in the middle-ish. Okay. And now cut around the rest of that.
Okay.
This really wasn't a great pattern. It was a good pattern.
You're demonstrating how easy this is.
Yes.
It is pretty easy. Just like it helps if you like actually know like how to read a pattern, and I don't know how to do that, and I didn't cut all the way through.
Well, but in this case, it's really not your fault. This is not marked at all. I only know because I watched a video. If I had cut this out, I probably would have just cut that whole thing and then gone to the instructions and been like, wait.
Move your hands. I'm just gonna cut out this
Okay.
extra because that's in my way. Okay. Now what? Cut out this arch.
Okay, so-
cut the axe head.
In the future, what I would do is fold that out of your way rather than cut it off, because now there's a big old stretch of fabric that was usable and really isn't anymore.
Oh.
This
Whoopsie.
This is fabric and you can move it. It's not wood. It's all good.
Okay. Well, that happened. All right.
Frankly, I only keep this fabric around because our son loves this color, so I'm not heartbroken if it gets
so
used up.
am I gonna cut out this little
Yes.
head
cut-
of the axe thing? This thing
Yes.
looks like an axe.
It does look like an axe. Yes. Cut the blade of the axe.
If you want to learn how to make an axe, my friend Logan Bracken has a YouTube channel called Bracken's Blade Forge. He was on that show on the
Forged
History.
and Fire.
He Forged and Fire on the History Channel. Came in second. Should have won first, but he got second. And y'all should check him out as well.
Shameless
Alright.
plug.
Shameless plug.
Alright, so we can't use the rotary cutter to cut that.
Why not?
Because you'll cut through all the layers,
Oh,
and you
be
only
careful.
need to cut through the top two. So
I don't
I
think I got through all the curve.
think if you pull up these two layers and cut it with, so you can see that it's going to shift the line. So we're going to trust your marked line, not the,
That makes sense.
come on, scissors. You're supposed to be fabric scissors. Come on. There we go.
So I wasn't supposed to use them for crafting the other day?
My scissors that are allowed to be used for crafting are very well marked, and he grew up with a sewing mother. He is just kidding.
Just like triggered like 80 people.
Okay, so you did a lovely job on these straight lines.
Thank you.
But this curve could use a little bit of renegotiation. So, I think, why don't you
Where's
go
the
ahead?
line though? I don't see it.
Where's what line?
The line that's there.
This is your edge line, and you're fine there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But see, this right here needs a little bit of help,
Oh.
and then this right here needs a little bit of
Okay,
help.
I got
And if you just freehand it right now, your fabric's just gonna move. I would
Okay.
stick some magnets back down and.
Oh, I got this.
All right.
I won't cut this fabric out of the way. I'll move it out of the way. Okay, so if I do that, that's pretty much a straight line.
There you go.
So if I can just do that. Sorry for blocking the camera, but I'm cutting a straight line. There we go.
So
Okay.
we have the top camera too. And then if I were you, I would put this kind of like that.
Gotcha.
Don't cut against it, but use it to help hold things down and
Yeah.
negotiate that curve.
Negotiate a curve. That's so fancy.
Also, don't run into the ruler with my blade or you'll nick it.
Hey, you need like a steel ruler for this.
No, that would tear up my blade if I accidentally ran into it. And you can see through this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you've got the outside cut. This gets sewn together and this gets folded over the ear loops.
Okay.
And seriously, I would, and everybody who actually is a sewist is going, why did you not press this fabric before you cut it? Because YouTube. I needed to get the video done and I just pulled fabric off the shelf. It's fine.
And I'm sleepy.
I am very much a finished is better than perfect.
Oh, we gotta make a second one of these now?
So you made the outline, this is the liner. You made the
The line
outer
is
layer,
prettier
this is the
than
liner.
the outside.
Then we'll do it the other way around. It doesn't really matter, it just needed to be two different colors. And our son really likes this green. I totally took over, but I'm playing fabric Tetris.
And I'm not that interested in it. I'm here to demonstrate my cutting abilities, not for anything else. Oh, by the way, I made this sewing table,
Yes.
or this cutting table, and if you would
If
like...
they have watched my introducing my crafting video, they know that.
And my channel is Daily Woodworks, and I am debating whether or not I should design this in SketchUp and release a set of plans so that you or someone you know can build a nice cutting table for you. Let me know in the comments.
I don't know where the
And she kind of needs a new one because this was like one of my first woodworking projects, and it like hurts me to look at it now. And as people who make things, you can understand that from some of
Yes.
your first things. Like you look at it and you're like, oh no. And that's how I feel about this thing, and I feel like I do a better job. But I have to have a reason to make a second
And
one.
I think that we should wait until we move to a different house where I will have more room, and then I can double my cutting space.
But not everyone has their own craft room.
It's
You're
true.
already spoiled.
I am.
Okay. I'm just doing the same thing I did last time.
Yep.
Sure, why not? Okay.
Yes. That was the right answer anyways.
Okay. Oh, safety's on again. No, it's not. Why didn't I cut? Okay. Hold on. Try again.
That's why.
Okay. That's out of the way. Now I'm gonna cut the curve.
Mark your straight line there.
Gonna make my line again. Gotta keep it out of this. Mark a line.
So really-
Line. Okay.
As a right-handed person, I would be having to keep my hand out of the way of marking that line too. I don't see that as any different for being right-handed or
I
left-handed.
mean, every once in a while my arm casts a shadow,
But that happens to me too. And you just sort of shift the way you're standing until it works.
yeah.
Okay.
Is that what we were trying to demonstrate to people? I can leave now?
That was one of my discussion questions, yes.
Okay.
You're almost done. This is the
Okay.
last bit. So, and also, I mean, you haven't really cut. These are very simple patterns, and these are
Good enough.
very simple patterns, but they involve both curves and straight lines. This is really the first time you've used a rotary cutter, although you normally cut wood with
Yeah, but
somewhat
I
similar
use
tools.
power tools, and like there's no tool that even resembles this in woodworking
Okay.
that does the same thing the same way. Like
Okay.
this just doesn't exist.
Okay. And so you've cut straight lines, you've cut curves, you're using the projector. How are you feeling about all of this?
That it's kind of fun, and like making things in general, so like I don't know.
So was it like? I guess my question is, this is the as someone who's brand new to this, is this something you think anybody could really pick up and do, or is this something you think?
So I would say that you would need like the skills to know how to read the pattern. Like there's words and stuff on here, like the folding stuff. Like I had no idea how to read that, and like the folding of the fabric thing. Like I don't get that.
And you're not saying you can't read it because it's fuzzy. You're saying you don't understand what the pattern means.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand the terminology.
Right.
But as far as like all you're doing is cutting out the lines. Like you're just literally following a line, and okay, that's easy enough.
So if you're going to cut a paper pattern, you still have to know how to read the pattern. You have to know what the fold line means and those sorts of things. And most of the major pattern companies are going to include those things in their description. If there's a video for it, it will have that. And some of my other videos have talked a little bit about it. And I can certainly do a basics video on reading patterns if that's something that there's interest in. But
So what do you do when it's like kind of hung like that? Do you just like cut it out later, or do I just?
no, I would just cut it slightly right there with the rubber cutter. Yep. And then we need. Why don't you use the scissors?
Do you have horrible scissors?
Oh, grab the.
She had left-handed people. This is what pisses me off about sewing right here. This is my rant. Give me this. Is these scissors that are horribly designed and only work for right-handed people. These things are evil, and you understand that, and you're forced to use them, and thank you. Okay, I'm better now.
I actually like those scissors better too, but they were farther away.
So I only do 2 layers because there's 4 layers here, but I should only do 2 of them.
Only
Okay.
the top 2 get cut. straight
Okay,
across.
and so now I can't follow the shadow line thing. I have to use my little tick marks to make.
Yes, because you're moving the fabric, which
Right.
moves the line.
That's easy enough. Okay, done.
And this is funky. Most patterns don't have this weird fold situation. Alright, you've done it yet again. So I'm going to sew those up for our son later. Probably not tonight.
Cool.
Seems to me like you think that if somebody knows how to read a pattern and is already sewing, that this is a really easy thing to do. Maybe I should have had you cut something on paper as a comparison, but I'm not going to put you through taping a pattern.
I've done that before.
would
I
not
did that
agree.
in home ec. I actually had the highest grade in my entire home ec class.
But
So,
you didn't.
That was in high school. That was like 14,
Oh no,
15,
that was like almost 20 years ago, baby.
20, no, not 20, 15, because 2004,
16.
16, 17, it was 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
But he's talking about like a Butterick or a McCall pattern. I meant printing on the printer and puzzling the pattern together.
oh no, we didn't have that back then. That didn't exist.
I actually think it might have existed a little bit,
Actually,
but
we had dial-up. Like, it
Yeah.
was, no.
he also went to a very tiny school. So, it is your conclusion that if somebody knows how to read a pattern and is already familiar with PDF patterns in particular, that it would be very easy for them to pick up a projector.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, the hardest part of all this was getting in here and like getting it calibrated. That was the hardest part. Once it's calibrated, you put in the 28.5 or whatever your number is to get it scaled right. You double check it, make sure it's right, and then you just follow the lines. Like, it's pretty simple. You just need to know, like, if there's like, you mentioned something about cutting to the line or not cutting to the line. I'm guessing that's when you fold over for like the hem or something. Yeah, she's looking at me like I'm crazy now, so
I don't know
whatever.
what I said that he's referring to. Once again, I have forgotten to turn off these lights whenever I was recording the projection here, and I'm sorry about that. I know it's so much easier to see whenever I remember to turn those off. I think that's only happened once though. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it helps alleviate your fears if you're a little bit nervous to start this. I hope it helps you see this really is easy. I'm not super fast at this because have some sort of special skill with this. I've just adopted it early, and I am able to do it because it's really easy to do. And once you do it once or twice, it becomes really second nature. If you have been using patterns for a very long time, there's a little bit of a change in the way you have to think, because you're not moving your pattern on your fabric, you're moving your fabric under your pattern. Although you can move the pattern a little bit within your projection. But really, once you kind of wrap your brain around that little bit of a backwards way to do that, everything else is simple. It's exactly like cutting out anything else. You're going to want to make sure that your fabric is secured and you're cutting on the lines. That's it. We know how to do that. We do that all the time. I have several other videos in this series that show you how to digitally alter your patterns so that you can still do exactly what we just did, even if you're grading between sizes or something like that. Maybe doing a height adjustment. And there will be even future videos about what to do when you need to slash and spread a pattern or those other alterations that are a little bit more complicated. Especially like full bust adjustments. There is another YouTuber, her name is Marta, and I can put her channel in the links below, that teaches you how to do a lot of those same digital alterations on Inkscape. And I haven't really dug into those vectoring programs yet because that's a lot of new stuff to take in right now. But I am loving all the alterations I can do on Adobe and loving how easy it is to cut with my projector. We talked a little bit in this video about the difference between knit and woven fabric. I'm going to have videos coming out a little bit more in depth on those two things in the near future. And stay tuned for more quick tips and basics and projector sewing on this channel. Thanks!
Tell them to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
And I also will have a card at some point in this video and down below in the description for my husband's YouTube channel, which is Daily Woodworks. He will probably make some plans for a cutting table. Maybe we can convince him to do maybe like an L-shaped sewing table in the future. And if you'll follow that, you'll be able to see those plans whenever he comes out with them.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Thanks for watching my videos. Like, subscribe, and comment.
GoPro, stop recording. It didn't stop.
GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, stop recording.